Bases dropped on Tuesday Thoughts here at Soccer Down Here, Soccer's morning show. John here, Jared there, you there. Thanks for hanging out with us for yet another round of what's going on all across the planet. And I'm being conservative, I guess, when I say that. So we got plenty of stuff to talk about this morning. We've got more stupidity down here, racism over there, and it happened twice yesterday. So we'll get into that. We've got all your transfer news. We've got stuff to talk about just in general. I know that we've got to get into Lionel Messi. See, Jared, this is what happens when we don't have an afternoon drive show. We have to kind of catch up and figure out. All right, so we've got stuff going on. Morning, Will. Morning, Ricky. Morning, Coco. Evening, Bam. Morning, Abby. I know, Coco. We have our stuff going on in the Caribbean. Trust me, I have the Weather Channel off to my left. Trust me, I have the Weather Channel off to my left. Bam says, day 5 of the Ashes has a delayed start due to rain.
Which will be interesting because that does impact the playing surface and the way the ball will move off of said playing surface. So we'll see how Australia's batsmen deal with that, because they are chasing, I think, 170 something on the final day to try and snatch this away from England.
Yes. So we'll keep an eye on the Ashes and cricket down here, as a show will be at 3:30 in the evening, our time, in the overnight, which means it's it's like brand spanking middle of the day for Bam. It's like middle of the afternoon. So we got that. Okay.
Tropical Storm Brett.
Yes. All I can say is all I can think of is something like that. What was the Bret Michaels reality show?
Oh God, I don't remember.
It was.
Also, don't want to remember.
Well, because everything evolved into a reality show, John. That's what you. What is it? Oh, I'm driving a Rock of Love. So
okay.
So Rock of Love, and this is like back in 2007. Yeah, it was brutal because everything would just evolve into Bret Michaels having a moment alone with the female of the episode, and they would get into a discussion, and it would evolve into Bret always saying, no lie. You know, I wrote a song about a moment like this. It's called Every Rose Has Its Thorn. You want to hear it? And so literally it would be like, that's how you would hear that song practically every episode. So, so that's what Tropical Storm Brett. Literally, Rock of Love was the only thing that popped into my head when I heard Tropical Storm Brett. I don't know what that makes me, but so just everybody keep an eye on the tropics. So, Bam with the update. Australia are 107-3 with a target of 281.
107-4-3.
Okay, 107 for 3.
There you go.
Target of 281 to win. If Australia doesn't make 281, England doesn't take all 10 wickets. The game ends in a draw.
Again, depends on what the playing surface plays like today, because you can drag it out. You drag it out. I mean, if you feel like you ain't going to get there because the playing surface is bad, then you just start playing. You can start playing defensive.
Yes.
And just try and basically, basically force a bunch of dot balls and just turn the bat down and play it out for a draw. And if you can get something cool, but also England's field setup has been absolutely bonkers all week. They've just been getting very creative in the way that they've set up, basically daring Australia to go big,
mm-hmm.
and daring it to get through their front lines, and a couple times it's failed.
Yeah. So you've got
watching, y'all.
Yes, I mean it does get you hooked in and brought into the whole thing. So
also, who among us has not looked forward to seeing England be sad?
There's that. Tom can only stay for a bit, so he's asking if Thiago Almada might actually play Wednesday. Is that what he's understanding? A lot of it just depends on when you come back, what shape you're in. I mean, is Thiago on the bench? It's just, stuff you got to keep an eye on today and then again tomorrow. Might actually play. That's open for interpretation, especially with the tense of the verb that you're kind of laying out there. So just keep an eye on it, because remember, you're talking both ends of Hudson River for Atlanta United in very short order. Tomorrow is midweek whip around, patent pending, trademark coming sooner, hopefully, rather than later. And then you turn around and you head to Red Bull Arena Saturday night. So I keep an eye on minutes, keep an eye on all of your social media. If he plays, then, does he get the green light to start? This is where your physios and your staffing and all of your monitoring comes into play, especially coming off international duty. So keep an eye on all of that stuff. And just remember that you've got a quick turn, Jarrett, with a midweek and a weekend when it comes to anybody coming back from international duty.
Yeah, you have to be careful with guys, and the physios will be. It's their job, literally, to look at the numbers and say, hey, this guy can give you this much. And then you have to decide, damn, is that north or south of 45 minutes? Does that mean I can start him? Does that mean I need to play him off the bench? What does it all mean?
Mm-hmm.
What's going to be the best way to deploy him?
Yeah.
New York City has wanted for creativity and wanted for someone to actually play the number 9 for a while.
And wanted for results, period, on the road.
Well, yes, there is that. Like, Talis Magno out there is not. Like, New York City has been on the striker side. What I think the big fear was for Atlanta before Giacomakis got here, because they just haven't been able to consistently get goals out of the number 9 position.
Yeah. So, keep an eye on all that stuff. And we'll have a deeper preview, obviously, of Atlanta and NYC tomorrow. NYC just is not good on the road, and they're just not good. And they're not good in general this season. So, Atlanta should be looking at this, and obviously, you look at this one and you sit there and you go, okay, you take care of business. You should come out of it with full points. And you take care of business at home. And that's what you need to do in Major League Soccer, especially with the East being as crowded as it is right now at your juice boxes. Atlanta United's a minus 128, decided favorite at home, draws a plus 285, and NYC to win on the road is a plus 317. So you're looking at that one and you're going, Atlanta United should take care of business and work your way into the weekend at Red Bull Arena, where they are a decided underdog right now at a plus 285. Red Bulls are favored at a minus 110 for a 7:39 kick on Saturday night. So keep an eye on all this stuff, because you have to think about it in the quick turn. The international duty in and of itself is a thing, but then you have international duty, quick turn, Wednesday, Saturday. And so you have to kind of plot for 2 matches, basically, and go, okay, this, then this. If this, then this. Who do I need here? Who can I, put my best lineup out there to try to get full points on the road? And then in turn, come up with an effort against Red Bulls on Saturday. So this is where Jarrett, coaches in Major League Soccer have to play Vulcan chess and have to literally think about things 2 or 3 steps down the line to do what's best for your club.
You do, and you have to think about what's coming up, and it's 2 different games. Like, New York City's going to come in; they want to possess the ball, because at this point, ideally, you would think New York City is going to want to possess the ball, but New York City hasn't been very deadly with the ball. It's one of the complaints we've seen about Atlanta in the past,
right?
Because do you know how many times on the road this year New York City has scored more than 1 goal on the road?
On the road.
How many times this year they have scored more than 1 goal on the road?
I would guess 0.
1.
Oh,
and it was in a 3-2, and it was in a 3-2 loss to Charlotte early in the season before Charlotte figured out their life and got right with God.
Okay.
That was back when like Charlotte was hemorrhaging goals. Now we know Charlotte's in a better situation now because Lattanzio has like kind of organized them to play in a more structured style.
Yeah.
That's the only time they've scored more than one goal and they still lost.
Yes. And I figured this morning, since I had a feeling you might mention Charlotte, I figured I'd break out my Jessica Charman T-shirt this morning. For those watching on Twitch, the most annoying voice in radio history, Jessica Charman, right there, most annoying voice in radio history. And the folks at Olive in York, who do tremendous work and have now become my second most popular outfitter, printed this after Jess got yelled at on WFNZ by one of the callers. And so they printed this shirt, and if they're still available, proceeds go to the Anton Walks Foundation. So very, very cool stuff from our friends at Olive in York. And you mentioned Charlotte. I wear my Jessica Charman T-shirt this morning, so we got plenty of that. Will with a question: has Lattanzio started using players in their actual positions yet?
I mean, to my knowledge, he has. It took him a while, but like they've been better. And it wasn't just the game in Atlanta,
right?
That horror show of a game.
Yeah.
It wasn't just that one. Like they've been better aside from that. Even that game, like Atlanta cut them open for the first 10, 15 minutes, and then Atlanta got the shoe got put on the other foot for Atlanta. Yeah, they've been better. It's not perfect. They still, I think they still need a couple more difference makers, but that's what the song. I believe he is asked for a couple directly.
Right.
I think he has said he's gone to management and said, "Hey, I need." God, I think it was like two, or he's like, I think it was 2 or 3. He wants 2 or 3 more players for the summer window.
I need this, and I need this.
Yeah.
Notes from Doug Robertson up at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground this morning. Almada, Abram, Etienne, Yakimakis, Robinson, and Sosa not training with Atlanta United today. Luke Brennan and Nicholas Firmino are. So kind of had a feeling that you might have some folks get kind of called out of Atlanta United too. If you looked at how things were squared away with the lineup at York Lions Stadium against Toronto FC2 on the weekend. So, you're kind of staring at all of that. You're
playing Red Bulls this weekend.
Yes.
You're playing different styles from the midweek to the weekend. New York City's going to want the ball. Red Bulls, not so much.
Red Bulls think it's got cooties.
Red Bulls not only think it's got cooties, Red Bulls lost to you for the first time in their like club history that they've lost to Atlanta in a regular season game. Probably going to be pissed.
Yes.
Also, they've been on a good run because that's what Red Bulls do. They get like Red Bulls teams like go through these runs where like, oh God, this team is terrifying, and oh God, this team is awful, and it just kind of alternates.
Yes. Your crew was announced yesterday for Atlanta United and NYC. Man in the middle is John Freeman, no relation. Your ARs are Ian McKay and Walt Heatherly. Your fourth is Sergei Demyanchuk. Your VAR is Soren Stoichka.
Oh yeah, Sergei Demyanchuk
as your fourth. So he gets to get yelled at by Nick Cushing.
Deserves it.
Yeah, he gets to get yelled at by Nick Cushing and Gonzalo Pineda for a full 90 minutes. Jonathan Johnson is your AVAR. Some of the greatest hits for the other matches in the midweek. It is Corey Rockwell is one of your ARs for DC and RSL. Ted Uncle is your fourth for DC and RSL. Fotis Bazakis is the man in the middle for Revs and Orlando City. Sporting and LAFC gets Rosendo Mendoza. Natalie Simon is your fourth, so she gets to hear Dolo and Peter Vermes. Eunice Marakchi is your VAR for Sporting and LAFC. I'm going backwards. Where's the new ones? That's like I thought that I had this all squared away. It's like, where are my assignments, people? So okay, so all right, so I'm off. Not a surprise. I'm sitting. It's like, why is all this stuff is familiar all of a sudden? But yeah, so the announcement, John Freeman's the man in the middle. Sergei Demyanchuk is your fourth for Atlanta United and for NYC. So red cards change matches, absolutely true. And then GG against the Red Bulls back. Yes. GG against the Red Bulls back line. He's anticipating
last time.
Yes. And a morning 4 card. So we've got all of this stuff that's on the table. Once again, Tuesday Thoughts, whatever's on your mind. But we do have a couple of tent poles this morning. And I guess that was our opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. There's your QR code for those of you who are watching on Twitch. And if you use the code Soccer Down Here 15, you get 15% off of your purchase. And they in turn take 10%, reinvest it into our into youth programs and youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. According to Abby, we're still not supposed to do any Ted Lasso discussions, or at least to give fair warning, because I think she's only to episode 10. Will. Abby's finished. Will is only on episode 10 of season 3. So
stop building rockets and start watching Ted Lasso.
Exactly. So we got a bunch of transfer stuff this morning. We do have stupidity down here, which we are going to get into on 2 incidents. Bam, along those lines. What will stop the Mexico versus Qatar Gold Cup game first? The chant for Mexico fans or a Qatar player using a racist remark? That's yes. The answer is yes. Yeah, Jared is correct. The answer is yes. But we'll get into that this morning when it comes to stupidity down here and having folks actually, maybe address something. But yesterday, because we don't have an afternoon drive show, and I feel like we need one. We need at least a power hour at some point. Jorge Mas broke his silence about the Lionel Messi deal. And it's a lot of money. No real surprise there. Inter Miami managing owner Jorge Mas broke his silence to Michelle Kaufman of the Miami Herald, among others. And he said, in a wide-ranging conversation with a small group of reporters, Messi and the club have agreed to terms and are finalizing paperwork and visas. The target date for his first game in a Miami uniform is July 21st for the League's Cup opener against Cruz Azul.
God, that's going to be...
Boy,
that's going to be a lot.
It is. So after that announcement yesterday, I'm checking. I'm now checking the secondary market.
Are we accurately thinking about how much that's... It's just going to be a lot from a lot of human beings.
Yeah.
And the secondary market's going to be a circus.
Yes, that is true. So we're staring at, okay, here we go. All right. From our friends at StubHub, 2 tickets, general admission. 2 tickets, general admission to get into DRV PNK. $1,080 each. If you want to sit next to somebody, for this match where it is alleged that Lionel Messi will start his Inter Miami career. Get-in price, general admission, unrestricted view, $1,080. Section 117 has from $1,430. The fancy seats, like, the loge modified behind there, 101, 102, 131, and 132. Section 131, tickets from $2,344. 132, $2,182. 101 from $2,693. And section 102, $2,389. 103 is $2,300. 104 is $2,200. And there you are. The section that is the fancy seats, you're paying north of $2,000 to get a seat. Get-in price, according to StubHub, $1,080. I'm not paying that under any circumstance.
You are not.
No, I am not.
But
yes. Yes, a source with knowledge of the negotiation said it's a 2.5-year deal. Does he play the full 2.5 years? I'm not so sure. But you want to line it up. You want to line it up to the World Cup. That's the 2.5-year deal. He becomes an ambassador. He turns into Albert Pujols or whatever. $50 to $60 million a year with an option for 2026. Includes salary, bonuses, and equity in the club upon the end of his playing days. Mas stressed that there is no direct subsidy from the league and, quote, absolutely no changes in the roster rules. There are no categories or anything that is being changed to incorporate Lionel Messi onto Inter Miami's roster. The commercial partner deals are still pending, Adidas, Apple, and others, according to league sources. Mas called Messi's imminent signing the one seminal moment in U.S. soccer history. There are folks that might disagree with that about other seminal moments. Adding, quote, I think there will always be a before and after Messi when we talk about the sport in the United States. Quote, I have a very, very strong held belief we can create in North America and the United States, if not the greatest league, one of the top 2 leagues in the world. Some folks in Europe might have issues with that. I cannot overemphasize the magnitude of this announcement. Having the world's greatest player here is something that is significant for our league and for the football ecosystem in the United States. Lionel Messi's coming to this country to win cups and make a difference. I think it's incumbent upon myself and my partners in the league and the other owners to seize the moment. Increase capacity at DRVP&K. Quote, we've already contracted to fill in the corners of the stadium. That should increase capacity by approximately 3,000 to 3,200 seats. Gearing up to do that work in the next 4 weeks. Every game will be sold out. The demand for tickets has been 10 times what we can handle on a season ticket basis.
Yeah, here's the thing, man. Like, you're gonna have to. They're gonna have to move this to Hard Rock, yeah.
You would think over time, certainly.
Yeah,
no question.
Like DRVP&K ain't built for this life.
No,
this, and it's not an idea. It's not a 1-for-1, but like we learned that as much as people loved, Bobby Dodd. Bobby Dodd wasn't built for that life. Mostly because for a school full of engineers, I've never seen a giant stadium that bad at handling crowds. But that's neither here nor there. But I mean, like, you're gonna have to move this to Hard Rock at some point.
Yeah, you are. And you're going to have to come up with some kind of an equivalency seating for your season ticket holders. Will, to answer your question about Paul McDonough, he is now newly in charge of the USL. So he's hanging out with the Tampa Bay Rowdies.
Yeah, that's Paul McDonough fell up in a way. Like, it's not MLS, but he is no longer working for MLS teams, but he is running the second division.
Yes,
in the United States of America.
Yes, that is true. Additional security measures. Okay, so Freedom Park construction signed a lease in February, fast tracking everything, targeting having the stadium ready at some point in the summer or early fall of 2025. Additional security measures. Quote, security will obviously be enhanced. Players will be bussed in, going through a tunnel. All of those security protocols are already prepared for both here and away. And it's not only for our games, it's going to be an everyday occurrence and something we witnessed and I thought handled very well when he was here with Argentina before the World Cup. As you may recall, Argentina trained in Miami before they flew over to Doha, where we had an opportunity to see some of the Messi mania at our doors on an everyday basis during practice, so we're very prepared. We've been getting ready for this. Status of talks with Messi's former Barcelona teammate Sergio Busquets. And if you looked at Jorge Mas's Twitter account yesterday, tomorrow could be an interesting day if you are a fan of soccer / Inter Miami / MLS, because there were 3 jerseys that were hung up in a line, no names on the back, but Jorge Mas alluded to having a day. So we'll keep an eye on that tomorrow. Mas would not discuss the negotiations with the Spanish midfielder, but a league source confirmed that the two sides are finalizing a deal and Busquets would occupy one of the team's 3 designated player spots.
So here's the thing about this. They're probably going to try and get this across the line. I don't really care. No, good on them for getting it across the line.
Right.
Dude, the amount of counter traffic done by Miami in the window is going to be astonishing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, y'all keep your eyes peeled on Miami because you can't just add these dudes without doing other things. Now, Pizarro feels like the obvious, like, hey, we're just gonna part ways because it hasn't worked. But yeah, I'm looking to see how they make this work. Otherwise, because you're gonna have others moves go along with it.
Mm-hmm.
So the summer's gonna be dumb.
Yes, that is absolutely true. And Inter Miami designated players. Figure Pizarro's a part.
It will. I don't think it's going to be creative counting. They're going to clear the DP spots, drop those dudes in DP slots, and call it a damn day.
Yes.
And then, because the reports were that it's going to be Busquets on a DP deal as well. And, Messi's going to be on one. Messi's going to be pulling down, like, what were the reports? Like somewhere between 40 and 60 million a year.
Yeah.
Don't think you can buy that one down to TAM.
No. That would set up the red flags that got them into trouble the last time, where they tried to go 5 for 3. And it's like, no. Messi's a TAM player. That's not going to work. Your DP's currently at Inter Miami, Gregory, Pizarro, Campagna. So that's what you're looking at. I think overseas there was interest in Campagna. Pizarro, that really hadn't worked all that well, and so they may try to find a home for him, say Liga MX. Gregory would be the one that might be the one that gets bought down. So that's, that's kind of what you're looking at ish. So literally Messi, Busquets allegedly, and a third.
Jordi Alba's been rumored for mother, God knows, like every day. Jesus.
Yes.
Every day, it feels like.
Yeah. Yes, that is absolutely true. And so you're staring at how many more? And so Mas was asked by this small group of reporters, this small intimate gathering, how many more roster moves are expected? Quote, we've been preparing our roster for Messi's arrival in 23, so we left an enormous amount of flexibility. We'll be making additional signings during the summer window, more than what people anticipate. We do not have to dismantle our team. We do not have to clean house.
Well, here, you might have to dismantle it, but I do want to know, like, how many roster spots do you have and who are you shipping out?
Yes. We do not have to clean house, but I can say we will potentially be making between 3 and 5 signings. Well, I figure if you're staring at Messi and Busquets and you are getting rid of Campagna and Pizarro, then Gregory is your swing player right now. I think
you can buy him down.
Right.
I honestly do.
Yeah.
And Gregory needs to be part of that project, I think, because he's been good.
Yes.
Like, I mean, giving him the armband last year was a huge move from your manager that you now fired into the sun.
Mm-hmm.
But he was good.
Yep.
And man, I don't know. I have a lot of questions about how this eventually plays out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I have a lot of questions about how you tie this together and what the whole roster looks like. It seems like you have your manager, which is going to make people hear all sorts of all sorts of feelings.
Yeah, we're building up to that one. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't blame people for having feelings about it, but it is business.
Yeah.
It is business.
Yes. The tweet, and I believe that this is Jorge _Mas, I think is his Twitter. The 3 jerseys hanging up on the coat. How many
Mosses are there?
I don't know, but it looks like a double. It looks like a double underscore. It looks like by the size of it looks like a double underscore. So Jorge _Mas. If that doesn't work, try double underscore. 3 jerseys hanging.
How dare you steal my gimmick?
Really, I know. 3 jerseys hanging in a row. No names on the back. Coming soon. See. # no caption needed. Posting that cryptic tweet, he wouldn't comment on specific players such as Jordi Alba, Luis Suarez, or Angel Di Maria. You got that. And then the coach search. Mas said that there are 3 finalists for the job. Confirmed published reports. One of them is Tata. And obviously coached Messi with Barcelona and the Argentine national team. He did not mention the names of the other finalists. How Messi can change MLS. Jorge Mas. Quote. Yeah, exactly. Lionel Messi is going to be the greatest ambassador and recruiter in the history of Major League Soccer. His mere presence in this league is going to be attracting talent of all ages and all levels. It is, I think, a tremendous and unprecedented opportunity that we have ahead of us. And I think that all of us collectively will take the right steps to make sure to put this league in the hyper-growth that it deserves. This is an amazing event for the league, for all the owners and every team in Major League Soccer. This will be a rising tide on all fronts. Boy, do you need to fix the DP rule if this is the case.
I mean, you got to do it anyway. I mean, it's something that needs to be done regardless
to
get things going in the right direction for the future for the league. But
yes.
Yeah.
Ricky Ricardo says that Suarez already came out saying he was staying at Gremio.
I believe he's under contract, so that might be one of. I believe he has an active contract at Gremio, so that would be part of it, because I think he has a contract that is not expiring, so he can't just like waltz out the front door. Like he's under contract, like actively under contract.
Yes.
So.
Yes, you've got that to get squared away here. Trying to determine one of the DPs. Will's asking also, doesn't one of your DPs have to be a young DP? There is it. You don't have to have a young DP, but
sure as well though.
Right, but if it starting back in 22, a DP who is 24 years old during the league year carries a maximum salary budget charge of $612,500, unless the player joins his club after the opening secondary window, in which the budget charge is halved to just over $306,000. Clubs can trade a DP or a U22 initiative player, remain responsible for some or all future out-of-pocket costs, shed the DP or U22 slot designation, and you have 3 or 4 different ways. Young DP who is 23 years old or younger than the age of 23 during the league year carries the young DP salary budget charge. Ages 20 and younger, $150,000. Ages 21 to 23, $200,000. So it is advantageous for you if you want to go down this road for salary reasons to have one of your DPs or more be young DPs, because they can carry only a salary budget charge against you of either $150,000 or $200,000. You can buy down the salary budget charge, but it won't be less than $150,000. Each club is allotted 2 DP roster slots. Clubs with 2 DPs may add a third DP by paying $150,000 to the league, which will be split among the clubs. So great, here's an extra $5,000 with 2 or fewer occupied DP slots for uses. Damn. Gosh, these rules are just, it's a complex compound sentence.
Yeah.
Man. Each MLS team will have up to 3 U22 initiative slots that occupy one of the 20 existing senior roster slots. U22 initiative slots available to each team based on what that team's use of their third designated player spot. If a club has a vacant third DP slot, the club will have available 3 U22s. If a club elects to sign a third DP, the number of U22s would be impacted in one of 3 different ways that makes your head hurt. Ay. You've got to fix this. Yeah, well, MLS Soccer. Who is Nick's? Who is that 4th DP? Because the only DPs that I know of at Inter Miami are the 3 that we've been talking about. Gregory, Pizarro, and Campagna. Who is their 4th? Joseph is listed as a DP? I thought Joseph was a TAM player.
He is. That one was complicated, and I think it had to do with the fact that you had different people paying like different chunks of
the roster
of the money. Like Atlanta was paying some, and Miami was paying some, and that way it wasn't a DP on anybody's deal. I think that was the setup, but don't quote me on that. I would need to look at it.
Okay. But yeah, so I mean the only three that I know of were the three that we've been talking about. If Joseph is their highest paid player coming into the season, as of 6 weeks ago, salary of $4 million, 4.39, including guaranteed bonuses. So, it's a 1-year deal, option with a second, and you're trying to figure out things. But the 3 DPs that I have heard are the ones not including Joseph. So, like I said, I always thought that Joseph turned into a TAM deal.
I think it's one of those that, like, it's technically he's getting DP money around the league, but he's also it was made a certain way to benefit everybody.
Okay. So Nick says he's an MLS contract DP, but only a TAM hit for Inter Miami. Clear as mud. Yes, that is absolutely true. But what this signing does, meaning Lionel Messi, and the possible probable additions of one of several players that we've been talking about this morning. To Jorge Mas's credit, yes, it is one of those seminal moments for the league. But the league has to figure out where it wants to go from here. They figured out what to do with David Beckham, created the Beckham rule, all that kind of stuff. What you've got to do now, frankly, under this current structure, I think you've got to add a DP. You've got to have a fourth. Second, you've got to have a cap structure. I think you like the National Hockey League, you've got to have a floor and a ceiling. So that way everyone...
It's a conversation that a lot of people are not going to want to have, especially some of the smaller spending teams.
But I think that there are...
I don't disagree with you. I'm just telling you it's going to be a conversation they're not going to want to have.
Yeah, but the thing is that if these smaller spending teams... there are different ways to go ahead and have an operation. I mean, if you look at it from the perspective of the teams that aren't spending money but are building through their academy, okay, cool. That's one way to do it. That's fine. And we've seen success in several markets of teams building through their academy, having success, and now understanding and realizing the value of selling players on, getting money and reinvest it. See Dallas, FC, where you sell on Ricardo Pepi and then you're starting to bring in players. That's one way to do it. That's cool. I mean, if you want to do it that way, that's perfectly cool. If you want to do it and be a grande who wants to spend and who wants to spend upon spend, cool. If you want to do it both ways, like we're seeing with Atlanta United, where you're building from the academy, but at the same time you're spending and you're bringing in those talented players like a Thiago Almada, like a Yorgos Giacomakis in the current stretch of things, there ought to be different ways to do it. But I think what you've got to come up with here is, okay, we get it. We need to be higher in the rankings than number 12 worldwide. And to do that, we're going to have to relax our spending habits and our spending mores for those that want to do it. And for those that don't, I'm sure that you can find folks who have money burning in their pocket that want to dive in on this and have a soccer team as part of their investment portfolio. I mean, that to me, legitimately, you got to fix the rules. You've got to have a floor. If you want to have a ceiling, great. But, I mean, if you want to grow, you got to grow. And this model that Major League Soccer has had in the first 26 years of its existence has done very well for itself. But there comes the time when you've got to take the proverbial training wheels off. And I think that this might be that time.
If for no other reason, I think it's just easy for you to.
Will says, black helicopter time. The league was okay with Miami having 5 DPs a few years ago. They just had to do the investigation because they were about to get sued.
Oh, man. Well, thanks again, Miami. It's for making it weird for literally everybody.
Yes.
And there's going to be a lot to unpack about this with the league, with Garber. It's going to be a lot to unpack, man.
Yeah.
We'll just have to see. We got to see who all comes, first of all. Because I think at the end of the day, we can sit here and talk about, well, what if they did this? They should do this, 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 and this. We don't know who else coming. Because you could end up with Messi, you could end up with Busquets. What if you don't end up with just those two? What if you don't end up with those two? What if you get Messi? What if Busquets decides to take the Saudi money?
Yeah.
A lot of this is fun speculation, but speculation nevertheless.
Mm-hmm. But the thing
that's
is,
where I'm at with it.
But and the thing is that you have to have these conversations so you're not surprised or shocked with, oh no, we have a cap issue. How is this individual fitting under the cap? Well, we'll find out how he's fitting under the cap. We'll tell you, you've got to have these conversations so folks can sit there and not be shocked by the whole thing. But why do I feel that folks are still going to be shocked by the whole thing? I mean, am I off here in all of this?
They're going to find a way to make it happen because it's too big not to make it happen. If you have to bend the rules again, you bend the rules again. I don't think it's that complicated.
Yeah,
I think it is as simple as, it is Occam's razor. When you are looking to complicate things, sometimes if you'll take a step back and you will look at the simple solution, you will find that the simple solution is often the right one. And the simple solution here, I think, is however MLS needs to make this happen, they'll make that happen, and they'll apply it to teams across the board.
Yes,
because they're not going to make a rule. Miami can do this, but no one else can. No, they'll expand it out however they need to. Of course, if Miami is able to put him, because once you're on DP charge, it doesn't really matter. You can pay somebody the moon if you want to. You could pull the moon down and screw with the tides and give him that.
Yes.
But if you get him under a DP charge, maybe you just try and keep it like that for now, and then make changes after the season.
Yeah. So Michael Head with a European qualifiers question. Wanted to know about Gigi in Greece, minutes, highlights. Knicks came on at about 75 minutes in the first match, started the second, went 66, and then was subbed for Vangelis Pavlidis. No goals. France was bullying them yesterday, according to Knicks, especially after the red card. Yeah, Will. The U part 3, it's all the DPs. Well, and then you'd have to have it. Would Uncle Nevin come on camera and discuss what's going on at the U in this go around? That would be the interesting element in all of this. But
somehow Donna Shalala is producing this.
Yes, exactly. Knicks, Yankees-esque spending in Major League Baseball is one thing that's allowed with the luxury tax, but it just feels like Miami's getting the rules broken, not even bent just for them. I mean,
it depends. If they clear roster spots, if they buy out Pizarro, if they move Campana, if they buy down Gregory, and they have an open DP spot, then all they add is Messi. that's within the rules, man.
Yeah.
Now, if they get weird as hell,
and
it could get weird as hell before it's all said and done.
It could.
Then we got to start having this conversation. But if they clear, let's say they buy down Gregory, and let's say they buy out Pizarro, they've got 2 DP spots open. Busquets and Messi, there you go. I mean, it just depends on who else you want to bring in. If you can bring guys in under TAM deals, and then you start messing with it. But those DP spots are DP spots.
Yep.
And those guys aren't young DPs anyway. I don't think.
No. Goal.com went through all of the alleged machinations and trying to figure out how he could fit. How Messi could fit. So they went into the wage cap. And so here's how they broke down the idea of the wage cap. Single entity MLS centrally controls player contracts. In 2023, each team is granted a base salary cap of $5.2 million. Furthermore, teams have access to Garber bucks, 1.9 in GAM, 1.7 and 800,000 in targeted allocation money. So that's another 2.7 million. That gets you to 8. Various mechanisms for teams to reduce the impact of players' salaries on the budget, such as utilizing the DP rule, using allocated funds to decrease the load on their salary cap. Provisions enable teams to optimize their wage bills with the league's financial framework. DP rule allows teams to compete for high-profile international players. In 2023, each DP counted as $612,500 against the cap, except for those joining at the halfway point, and then it was a little over $306,000. So, and that's how, say, Chicago can pay not so big Shaq $8.4 million. Like you can pay a DP whatever salary you want.
Yeah, once he's a DP, he's a DP. It doesn't like it's the numbers. The numbers are just the good or bad decision making that you are doing, as a club.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, you start you're spending money. And you've decided you're going to spend a bunch of money. However much you spend is on you.
Yes. So you can drop as much money as you want on a player and go, he's a DP, we're going to pay him $55-60 million, but he would only count $612,500. Or this year, Lionel Messi would only count $306,000 plus as a part of your salary cap figure at $7.9 million. So he would only count this season $306,000 against your cap of 7.9. But outside of that rule, you can go, we're going to pay him $55-60 million. Fine, you do that, whatever, that's cool. But he only counts $306,000 against your cap. But I think because of this and the notion of if you brought in those three DPs and you bought Gregory down, DP number one, Lionel Messi, counts $306,000 against your cap. DPs number 2 and number 3 would only count the same. So basically, you could bring in Messi, Suarez, Jordi Alba, Angel Di Maria, Carlos Valderrama, or the ghost of Pele, God rest his soul, and they would all only count three.
Please hire a ghost to play for your team.
They would only count for this season $306,000 against your salary cap. Next year it would be $612,500 unless it's adjusted and for inflationary whatever. But yes, Knicks needs a Katie Porter-esque whiteboard breakdown. See, I don't have a whiteboard. I need a whiteboard down here. I think that's the key here. But yeah, we're going to get you a chalkboard. We're going to get you a blackboard. Yeah, see, and that would go up well against the lighting structure here in the studio. So the key here is, with the current DP structure as it is set, if we understand it correctly, the 3 jerseys that do not have names hanging on them, or on them, that are hanging in Jorge Mas's imaginary locker room, as posted on his __ Twitter feed. Those 3 individuals, in theory, would only count $306,000 each, plus $200 or so, against your salary cap figure of $7.9 million. You buy Gregory down, turn him into a TAM. You dispose of Campagna and you dispose of Pizarro. You've opened up your 3 DP spots. You've turned it into the Miami Heat, where it is LeBron and Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. That's what you've done in Miami. I think that's right.
I will also accept the KG Paul Pierce Ray Allen comparison.
Yes. So I was just trying to keep it geographically accurate.
Fine.
With the 3 of them sitting in their high chairs having their discussions. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7. That's how many championships that they're. Could you imagine if they had those 3 sitting on high chairs and you reenacted the LeBron press conference word for word, where you have Lionel Messi sitting there saying not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4?
Yeah, I don't have the endurance for that these days. I'm too old.
This is, and the thing is, I mean, if it's Messi and Busquets and a third, they're only going to count $900,000 against your cap hit for this season. So that's not bad business under the current cap structure, which we think we've come to the conclusion it needs to be adjusted. But bringing in stars that you are going to pay $11 billion outside of the cap structure, not bad business. If you can make a call and get 3 DPs in and buy down your current one that you think you're going to hang on to.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got to adjust it. You've got to adjust it. You have to adjust. Yeah, Abby, next year, the DP slots, unless they're adjusted for financials, like for inflation or whatever, right now, as it currently stands, a full DP hit is $612,500. But you bring in those 3 DPs this year, Messi, allegedly Busquets, and allegedly a third, buying down Gregory, $200 and whatever $1,000 each. 306, 250. That's the charge on each of the DPs if they come in the summer window. Sharif, as Bruce Wayne says in the original Batman movie, you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts. Yes, Parzival, they are. They are available. Roster rules and regs. So here, this is the last round of rosters, rules, and regs that I was reading from. So, well, and Rich, this is the other point. And this is the other point in all of this. The idea, Rich says, I laugh at all this is going to work on the field. Too many players on that team that want the ball. And Jarrett, we were having a production call yesterday about this very thing.
To Rich's point, I'm not even sure for me it's about too many guys wanting the ball. Show of hands. Who wants to be the who wants to be the number who wants to be the number 8 on this team if it's Messi and Busquets in the midfield?
Yeah.
Who wants to run like a rabbit being chased?
Uh-huh. Who gets to play defense on this roster with these guys?
And tell me that wouldn't be like, tell me with a straight face that would not be an absolute pain in the ass. Like, they're going to have to dominate the ball. They're going to have to survive. Because if you got Messi at this point, like Messi can run. Messi can still cause you all sorts of problems. Messi picks his spots.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's fine. He should. It's where he's the most effective. Busquets in spring chicken no more, man.
No.
Like, Godspeed to whoever has to basically play the number 8 or play in the midfield, however you want to organize it, whatever position you want to call it, whatever number you want to assign to it. Mm-hmm. God save whoever has to play in that midfield with them.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna be running. You're gonna be running like Herman Boone is mad at you.
Mm-hmm. I mean, here's the roster for Inter Miami, once again, courtesy of our friends at Transfermarkt. Your defense, your backline. I'm putting the backline off to the side.
Herman Boone.
Yes.
Did I say Herman Boone? Jesus Christ. Herman Boone.
Herman Boone.
Sorry, Jason.
Your defensive midfield, and this is the full roster. So this is the full roster, all 29 names, brought to us by our friends at Transfermarkt. Your D mids, and this is how it's listed. They've got like 72 D mids. Gregory, Dixon Arroyo, Victor Ulloa, David Ruiz, who came up from the 2s. Ian Frey. Jean Mota is injured, listed as a central midfielder. You've got Kramashi, who came up from the 2s, and Pizarro, whom we assume is going to be. So your defensive midfielders and your central midfielders, according to our friends at Transfermarkt, Dixon Arroyo, who came in from Emelec, Victor Ulloa, who's 31, David Ruiz, who came up from the 2s, Ian Frey, Jean Mota, who is injured, Kramashi, who came up from the 2s, and Pizarro, whom we assume is going to be out the door. That's the current defensive structure for Inter Miami on the roster that's in-house. If we said good luck with that, Would that be an accurate assessment?
It's going to be tough, man.
Yeah. Busquets would be coming on a free. Initial report from Tony Juan Martí. Busquets would sign a DP deal until 2025, confirmed by the Miami Herald and Alex Winley from the Heron outlet. Transfermarkt is including Jordi Alba as the possible third. So 34-year-old Sergi Busquets with a market value of €5 million is where number 2 would be coming from as all of this. So, Abby, thanks for hanging out, as always. But, yeah, midfield, you need help. And with Busquets and Messi, what do you want to bet that the kids, Ruiz and Cramashi, are going to be really putting in the miles? What do you think? They're going to be putting in the miles with all this bunch. Absolutely putting the miles in on this bunch.
You got to. I mean, you going to have to run, but everyone's right here. Like, you're looking at a situation where it might be, where it very well might be, hey, we're going to play 4-3 games because we don't have a choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Take the over.
Not because you want to, because you got to.
Yeah.
At least until next year, because I think if you give them an offseason to rebuild the roster next year, yeah. I think they could be really a fun, different conversation.
Yes. Michael Head. Is Pro having nonstop meetings on how they're going to explain why they do not protect attacking players on a scrap piece of paper post-match? That's going to be – this is going to be the other interesting element in all of this is Pro and Messi and or Busquets. Has Lionel Messi experienced a group like Pro? Has Lionel Messi experienced a group like Pro? I don't know if he has.
I'm sure he's experienced something similar to it. Maybe not the exact same, but probably something similar. Look, at the end of the day, like the real spinning Mr. Krabs meme, and this is my port of call. This is where I take my leave of the day.
Yes,
is going to be when Messi is just getting wiped out by some 23-year-old kid from Monmouth who is on an MLS deal making $75,000 a year and is just out there trying to make a roster and just cleans out Messi.
Yeah,
he's gonna look up and go, "What the actual hell am I doing?"
Yes,
he's then going to score 2 goals.
Yes,
but some scrappy college kid's gonna put him in hell for a minute, not skill wise, but because they're just gonna want to tackle him every chance they get because they can't stop him without bringing him down like a football tackle.
Yes, so we will keep an eye on that. So, Jarrett, you're back with us for Wall Pass Wednesday and the midweek whip around tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we will see Jarrett Smith for the midweek whip around and all of our Wednesday programming, as we always do. So very cool to have Jarrett dropping by, as he always does, and putting up with me for an hour or two at a time. Will, the MLS office is in New York, right? Stage a sit-in this weekend when you're up there for Red Bulls. Get at least 2, hopefully 3 more DPs. Well, and the other point that was made by Jorge Mas, no MLS subsidy as a part of this. This is all Mas money that is going into this. Other news from Doug Robertson up at the training ground. Edwin Mosquera back training with Atlanta United, but not eligible to play. We'll keep an eye on that one. Then it also news out of South America involving Marcelino Moreno. After Racing's proposal, Curitiba buys Marcelino Moreno for $7.1 million. So that came from Globo this morning. You've got all of this. Yeah, see, but Will, this is the thing. This is the thing. Is it releasing the hounds when it comes to DPs, Or is it just making it and just getting rid of DP status and just saying, tell you what, here's your cap, do whatever you want? That's probably the what we're staring at here. Somewhere down the line, you are getting rid of the notion of the Garber bucks. And at that point, what you're doing is, look, see, now, Ricky, that would be a treat. You get Andrew Gutman, Caleb Wiley, Miles Robinson going after Messi in the Inter Miami game in September. But I think where we are here as a league is what you're staring at, the idea of rearranging the structure to where you're not having to deal with the designated player designation from the Department of Redundancy Department. I think what you're staring at here is, and Michael, I think that you're onto it. I think that what you do is ceiling, floor, salary cap. Cool what you've done with the numbers, with the young DP designation, how much they are up against the cap. DPs are worth this, DPs are worth this. I think that obviously you're going to have to come up with some kind of Larry Bird rule if you want to bring in somebody like a Messi where you're going to pay them $50 or $60 million a year. Because if your cap is, say, 80 and you have 30 slots that you've got to fill, if 3/4 of that is one dude, you can either say it's assumed risk, or you sit there and it's like, okay, that's 75% of your cap. Then what else are you going to do? You've got 29 slots to fill and $20 million to do it. You're probably going to have to come up with some kind of designation and, Messi rule, Larry Bird exception, whatever you want to call it, where you can pay your DPs whatever you want as you are currently and have it only count X amount towards your cap. 7 million, 5 million, whatever. So that way you're not paying. If you had a cap of 80 and Messi comes in, you're paying him 50 or 60. Let's say 60. You pay Messi 60, 2.5-year deal for 150 plus incentives and the NIL deal that we talk about with Adidas and Apple and anybody else. If you got a cap of 80 and you spend 60 on one dude, that's 29 slots for $20 million. So that's what you're staring at. So yes, goals scored plus goals allowed record through the roof. Will, talking about goals scored, goals allowed. Atlanta's going to set that record this year like Ole Miss baseball from 22. Then Miami's going to come in next year like LSU screaming Leroy Jenkins and have it broken by the middle of the season. Rich, side note, Subaru Park sold out this weekend. A lot on StubHub, mostly on the idea that Messi would be there. Still have people asking me if he'll at least be there to wave. Knicks, DC sold a bunch more tickets in early July on the same premise. Good for these clubs, but he ain't going to be there yet. Rich, New England got 30,000 at their match because people thought Messi would be there. Who refed at the Copa America Centenario? That's a good question. Will, Messi ain't ready for some mafioso's grandson to 2-foot him at RBA. That will be intriguing. Yeah, and but Michael, if you want to bring in somebody like Messi, that's the thing. It's like you've got to come up with some kind of a floor. You need a floor. Yes, Gigi's suspension, yes. That's for tomorrow. So you'll see Gigi at Red Bulls. And it was brilliant planning. Yeah, and that's the thing. If the owners want to, and that's the thing, is that you've got to guard against it, Michael. The owners spend themselves into bankruptcy, so be it. I mean, if the Mas family wants to bring in all of this, if they want to be the ones to sit there and break open the piggy bank, and it's like, okay, we're bringing in 3DPs. 3DPs, boom. Then it's up to them to sit there and go, this is just going to be our way. And if it so happens that it turns into be a financial failure, one of two things are going to happen. The Mas family will write the losses off as a part of their business expense. Or, if it turns into be such a poor business decision, whomever it is, but since we're talking Inter Miami, if we say the Mas brothers or the Mas family, if it ends up being such a poor decision, and I mean catastrophically poor, where stadium plans go awry, nothing happens, they're stuck, with DRVP and K, or they've got to go to Hard Rock, they can't get their own building built, something like that, then it just completely goes to That's what you've got to keep an eye out for, too. Ricky, talking fifth yellows. Need a bar to go ahead and get his fifth yellow tomorrow so we can have him for Philly. Tom still thinks there should be a cap. Just raise it and increase rosters to 40. But once again, you've got to figure out what that number actually is. It is. And then once again, we were talking about if Messi is our example here and he's getting 60 and your cap is 80, then if you increase rosters to 40, you'll have folks that will sit there and they probably won't fill in all 40 slots. I mean, you still have folks. You would think, Michael, that they would be, and you come up with some kind of a proportionality plan as to what the your seat at DRVP and K equals this at Hard Rock. So, that's kind of what you're leaning toward there. Yeah, and that's the thing is, but yeah, I'm sure, Rich, if you were somebody who was part and parcel to the let me see, the owners of the Stephen Ross suing MLS. Let me see. Let's see if Stephen Ross is suing Major League Soccer. Ties to West Palm. I think he was suing the U.S. Soccer Federation as a founder of the ICC. So I think that's where that's coming from. Yeah, it has to do with relevant. Promoters lawsuit against FIFA. It's against FIFA and the U.S. Soccer Federation, and that was back in March. So it has to do with the USSF refusing to sanction the match between Barcelona of Ecuador and Guayaquil at the Hard Rock. So it's Stephen Ross and the U.S. Soccer Federation, not Stephen Ross and Major League Soccer. So the article that I found with that, I'll go ahead and post it here in the Twitch pitch. But yeah, it's the U.S. Soccer Federation and Stephen Ross. So I mean, you've got all of these cap things that you've got to consider, but you've got to find something. Yeah, how many season ticket holders? Well, all right, let's find out. Once again, the beauty of the internet. Inter Miami season ticket. I'll ticket, John. Let's see. Season ticket holders for Inter Miami. Premium tickets. Goal.com 5 days ago. So let's see. What did they do? So yeah, everything exploded with Inter Miami fixtures. Stadium opened. Holding Ticketmaster. Likely season tickets, deposits, demand, season ticket offers, Ticketmaster, blah, blah, blah. There are, come on, people. I want to know how many there are. How many season ticket holders? Let's do this. Major League Soccer. Major League Soccer season ticket owners. Let me see. How's that for a good search? This has got to be really compelling radio. Let's see. Season pass, season ticket wait list for Atlanta United. Let's see. That's got to be a number out there. But no, Michael, I think you're probably spot on. Before all the Messi stuff happened. Well, what, Tom, what'd you come up with? What'd you see? Bowl charge is a pickup game. No, that's matching Costa Rica turns into a bullfight. ESPN Costa Rica. That's got to be lower divisions. Yeah, Emilio, it was based on the season remaining. So 306,000 is your DP hit for the rest of the year. 612.5 or 306,250. Oh, no question. So they have an off season to adjust it, but the adjustment is what we're staring at here. How do you adjust? What do you adjust, and to what level? So, bringing in those 3 DPs once again, you're only what you're staring at. What you're staring at with all of these kinds of things. Right now, 306. 612.5 or 306,250. So you'll have 3 DPs at 306,250, counting against your cap of $7.9 million. And I'm assuming that what you're going to do, you're going to buy Gregory down, you're going to find a home for Campagna, find a home for Pizarro, and bring in Messi and friends. So the stadium seats between 20 and 22 right now, Drive Pink. And they're filling in the edges, I'm imagining, with the incredibly aesthetically pleasing hard metal bleachers to fill in those gaps on the edges. And yeah, so but we'll see. But Stephen Ross is suing the U.S. Soccer Federation. I'm sure that he'd be more than happy to take money from the Mas brothers when folks are building. Or maybe you go to Marlins Park. Maybe you go to Marlins Park where it's climate controlled. You go indoors. Who knows? So you're looking at all that stuff. But you've got to go to a larger venue. You've really got to go to a larger venue. But I want to see what this larger venue is and how you adjust things going forward. So teams don't have 5 DPs and you only say that you're paying 3. So this is going to be a challenge for Major League Soccer in the offseason. I think this year you can get away with it with the 3 DP hit, the half-year 3 DP hit, at just $900,000. So it will be 612.5 unless they readjust it and come up with new rules of engagement. Bam, thanks for hanging out. Sit through your rain delay and then get your alarms squared away so you can continue watching the Ashes. So all of that is what you're staring at here. Tomorrow could be an interesting day. And apparently the Birmingham Legion are going to be on First Take at 11:30. Don't know what that's going to be about, but we'll find out. That should be interesting. So we'll see what happens there. Whatever other questions you got, we will go through them. I'll go through the timeline and see what we got. But yeah, I mean, you're looking at all of this stuff, all of these things involving Inter Miami, and it's gonna cause the league to think. It's really going to cause the league to think. How do we address all this stuff going forward? So that's what you got to stare at. That's what you're staring at. Because of that, all right, time to read a promo. We'll get into stupidity down here and racism down here because we got to get into that. We've also got player transfers, things like that, whatever else is on your mind here for the final 45 minutes of the show. So since it is that time, And I've got to do the adjustments that I always do to the board. I've done that hopefully successfully, and time to read a promo. For odor-free, clean, fresh air, one place you need to go. It's the Lemonize service. QR code over my left shoulder for those of you watching on Twitch. The Lemonize deodorizes enclosed spaces like houses, apartments, and condos. They've created a customized solution that eliminizes all organic odors, including those like pet cigarettes and food. Realtors and property managers use the Lemonize service to eliminate bad odors to help them sell or rent their homes that much faster. It's a turnkey process. Makes it easy to work with said realtors and property managers. Lemonize service kind to the environment, offering a green way to get rid of odors without any kind of toxic residue whatsoever. We like that. Lemonize is different than Febreze or other masking agents that you have either above you in the cupboard or beneath the sink in your kitchen of choice or your room of choice. Because when you reach above you into the cupboard or underneath the sink, you bring out that masking agent, spray it in the air. There's a reason they call it a masking agent. It's because you're just masking the odor. You're not attacking the issue all the way down to the problem, all the way down to the molecule. Unlike a Lemonize service who uses their proven scientific formula to attack all the way down to the molecule. Pricing easy by using either the cubic feet or parts per million and come up with a price that's affordable for you. Offering results in 24 hours or less. If you have any questions, frequently asked or otherwise. Go to the website, and this is where I grab my pen. If you have any questions, go to the website at lemonize.com, but do us a favor here at SDH. After the .com, go /Atlanta, so they know what part of the world that you are addressing them from, so they can help you with your issues. Full homework assignment, ELIMINIZE.com/Atlanta, lemonize.com/Atlanta. Lemonize service, proud sponsors of everything SDH for your Tuesday thoughts. So far, most of them have been on Lionel Messi. Not a surprise, considering all of these signings that are alleged by anybody and everybody of who's going to be Messi and friends at Inter Miami. So Jorge _Mas, we will keep an eye on his Twitter account tomorrow, and we'll see what he has in mind for everyone else in Major League Soccer. But yeah, it is putting Major League Soccer and its rules of engagement on notice. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, and Michael, yeah, if they don't play at Hard Rock, it could go down to one of the biggest fails in sports history. Because there's money to be made. You have to find a way to counteract all of the money that you are spending on Messi and friends. Easiest way to do it is to go down the street to Hard Rock and talk to Stephen Ross and go, yo, bruh. And that's exactly how the conversation would start. Yo, bruh. We need to come by for the rest of the year. And then the conversation would start. Stephen Ross would extract his pounds and dollars and pounds, and everything would be squared away when it comes to when it comes to Inter Miami and the rest of the season in Major League Soccer. So it will be interesting to see who they bring in, what it looks like. Note from John Arnold, Copa America 2024 set for June 20th through July 14th in the United States. According to John, it's the first time we've seen the dates tentatively listed in the FIFA calendar as 14-14. There is a hype video that's been out, Vibra el Continente, with the tagline looks they're going with Rocking the Continent in English. So Copa America dates. Obviously, the South American teams will want to win Copa, but without World Cup qualifier matches this cycle, it's a benchmark for the USMNT. And Greg Berhalter, Mexico, will also want to make a big statement, in part because of its relationship with CONMEBOL. So we'll see what happens. But Copa America set for June 20 through July 14th of next year. So keep an eye on all of that. And so once again, Luke Brennan, Nick Firmino getting short. It looks like they're going to be getting short-term call-ups to the first team for the match in the midweek. In training today. And Marcelino Moreno sale for $7.1 million. So well done, good piece of business. And you really hope that Marcelino Moreno can do well at Coritiba. Wish him well as he hits the next stage of his career. All right, stupidity down here. I know that we've been kind of laying away from stupidity down here. But, it's time. We had two moments that, once again, you sit there and you go, come on, man. New Zealand and the host country of the last World Championship competition last Thanksgiving through Christmas. They had a friendly, and courtesy of our friends at the Australian AP, New Zealand's national men's football team have abandoned their friendly with that country, alleging racial abuse and inaction by officials. The All Whites took the extraordinary step of refusing to come back out at halftime of a game they led 1-0. One of two incidents in Austria on Monday, with the Republic of Ireland's U21s friendly against Kuwait's U22s also abandoned after one of the Ireland substitutes was allegedly the target of racist abuse. New Zealand football put a short statement on their social media channels after the walk-off. Yes, exactly, Nix. Reset the sign. Michael Boxall was racially abused during the first half of the game by a Qatari player. The statement read, no official action was taken, so the team have agreed not to come out for the second half of the match, end quote. New Zealand led the match through Marko Stamenic's 17th minute strike. The friendly was played at the Sonnensee Stadion in Ritzing in Austria and officiated by the Austrian referee Manuel Schuttengruber. The captain, Joe Bell, was seen remonstrating with Schuttengruber as they left the field for halftime before the All Whites made the decision not to return. The commentator, Jacob Spoonley, who won 2 caps for the All Whites as a goalkeeper, said Boxall was a man of huge integrity, quote, a man of huge integrity, of tolerance and patience. To garnish this reaction from him really did raise my eyebrows. To hear the details of the allegations that are being made by this all-whites team, I can completely understand why this action has been taken, end quote. Boxall is of New Zealander and Samoan heritage. Carlos Queiroz, who has never been a man to mince words. They abandoned the game. Apparently 2 players on the pitch, they exchanged words. The New Zealand players, they decided to support his teammate, as it is obvious. All our team decided to support our player. This is a new story, a new chapter in football, which is for sure something that nobody can understand. I think this case will be under the observation of FIFA for sure. The New Zealand Professional Footballers Association tweeted their support. NZPFA stands unequivocally with its players. We commend and support our players' poised reaction in this challenging situation. We've contacted the team and will work with at NZ_football to support the players in any way required. No room for racism in our sport. The Republic of Ireland's U21 game in Bad Rockersburg was brought to a conclusion in the second half with Jim Crawford's men leading 3-0. FAI posted on Twitter that they regret to announce the match against Kuwait had been abandoned after a racist remark was made by a Kuwaiti player towards one of our substitutes. The FAI does not tolerate any racism towards any of our players or staff and will be reporting the serious matter to FIFA and UEFA. The FA, the New Zealand FA, as of very early this morning when we were all asleep, they said it would contact FIFA about protecting players from racism after the national team abandoned the friendly. New Zealand said a Qatari opponent directed, quote, a significant racist slur at Michael Boxall. Reported the incident and collectively decided not to take the field after no official action was taken. NZF Chief Exec Andrew Pragnell. Certainly, we want to reach out to FIFA on this. You know, they've recently established a task force around racism. More needs to be done to protect players from racial attacks on the field. There's been some evolution. We don't think it's moving fast enough, so we want to contribute to that. More from Queiroz. Apparently, 2 players exchanged words, and we don't know who was first, who was second. It's only between them. Video of the New Zealand friendly, and it's out there. There's like this 25-second section of the incident. Multiple all-whites players remonstrating with a player shortly after a free kick was awarded. After a long discussion with the captain for New Zealand, the referee blew for halftime. Pragnell said NZF needed to get a better understanding of why match officials took no action. Quote, I think when someone receives significant racial abuse, multiple people hear it. There's multiple witnesses to something like that, and nothing can be done. Then we've got a bigger problem. Maybe it's time we look at the rules. The Qatari FA said on Twitter New Zealand had withdrawn from the friendly without giving any further details, didn't provide any immediate comment. The Republic of Ireland's FA said it would too be contacting the governing bodies over the remark made to one of their substitutes. Kuwait's FA disputed the FAI's description of the events and said the referee stopped the match because of, quote, roughness and tension, end quote, between the players. Kuwait Football Association categorically rejects such accusations. The match was stopped by the referee in the 70th minute to protect the players from potential injuries. It's understood FIFA will await the official reports before deciding on its next steps. The governing body has previously said it has a zero-tolerance policy against discrimination. Gianni Infantino said last week that referees should stop matches if discrimination occurs. Quote, there is no football if there is no racism, so let's stop the games, Infantino said. So, yeah, so we've reset the sign, and that's where we are. Color me shocked. I know that you all are equally shocked. But, yeah, so we've reset the sign. We're going to keep an eye on it and see if anything happens and see how long it takes for something to happen. That's the other part in all of this. So, yeah. 2 incidents yesterday. I don't know if that means that we have to reset the sign twice, sit there and take the 0 down, and then put the 0 back up, put it down, put it back up, put the hammer in the wall, and start it all over again. So, yeah, we had 2 instances in matches yesterday. Obviously, with what's going on with European qualifiers, there's some interesting groups there. But there was an incident or an interesting situation we'll have to keep an eye on involving Belgium. Thibaut Courtois has spoken out about the captaincy claim. Domenico Tedesco is the Belgium coach. Courtois maintained he pulled out of the squad for Tuesday's European Championship qualifier in Estonia due to a knee injury. Earlier, Tedesco insisted that Courtois had refused to travel for the match due to being, quote, offended, end quote, at being overlooked for the captaincy against Austria on Saturday. Tedesco claimed Courtois told him after the Austria game he was going home and rejected rumors of a medical issue, telling a press conference, quote, I wish I could say it's an injury, but I can't lie, end quote. So Lukaku is going to captain Belgium against Estonia. However, Tedesco's claims infuriated Courtois, who issued a strongly worded statement on his personal website. Quote, this afternoon, I was surprised to hear the coach's press conference in which he gave a partial and subjective account of a private conversation we had after the match against Austria. I want to make it clear that this is not the first time or the last time that I talked to a coach about issues related to a locker room, but it is the first time that someone decides to tell it publicly. I'm deeply disappointed with this, but I want to make it clear that the coach's assessments do not fit with reality, end quote. Along with Lukaku, Courtois is one of 2 Belgian vice captains. Lukaku was given the nod to wear the armband against Austria in the absence of Kevin De Bruyne, despite Courtois celebrating his 100th cap. Courtois added, quote, I insist that in no case have I demanded anything, and I've spoken to my teammate Romelu Lukaku to clarify any circumstances relating to this situation. Furthermore, yesterday afternoon, I underwent a checkup for a problem in my right knee. Medical team of my club and the national team were in contact and reviewed all the corresponding material to make the decision to leave the training camp, end quote. So good luck on that. Good luck on all of that happening in a locker room. Kylian Mbappe set a scoring record for in France with their victory over Greece. Ramos' double. Armenia pulled off a shock win in the Euros 2024. France beat France 4-0 over the Netherlands. Belgium won 3-0 over Sweden. And in an interesting / random note, French police are searching the game's headquarters in Paris for the 2024 five-ring circus. They did that this morning. So that was interesting. Gossip, rumor, innuendo, things left unsaid. We got a bunch of rumors this morning, and we've got a bunch of other stuff this morning to talk about. Obviously, we'll keep an eye on what's going on with all of the transfers. Like I said, we'll talk about gossip rumor and innuendo transfers, incoming transfers, and if we have any idea what is going on with the Birmingham Legion at 11:30 Eastern time, then we'll figure that one out. But yeah, they made a statement on social media that they're going to be on First Take at 11:30. So we'll see what that's all about. 11:30 Eastern time. Nick says, I wish Miles would have just been allowed to come back after Nations League, one of the few carryovers for Gold Cup. I guess having him in the international shop window is better than MLS, especially considering his play there, but we need him. Yeah, and this is going to be – it's going to be a chance for the younger players to step up, like we've said. Luke Brennan, Nick Firmino, a part of the first team training today. They're probably going to get a short-term call-up. They have – the twos after their match in Toronto, they have on Sunday. Next match for them is next Sunday at the Fraction against NYCFC, kickoff a little after 5 o'clock. We'll have that one for you on the SDH network. Jason will have your play-by-play. So there's a bit of a gap there for Atlanta United 2, where you can have two of your stalwarts, in Nicholas Firmino and Luke Brennan, getting reps with the first team, be ready for an NYCFC team in the midweek. So it will be I will be intrigued to see, does Noah Cobb get a short-term agreement to help out? What's it look like on the back line? And having Firmino and Brennan as a part of it to help shore things up. I mean, we saw Luke Brennan, for those of you that went to AmFam Cup 2 Electric Boogaloo against Toluca. We saw that he was not afraid against Liga MX competition, has not been afraid against MLS Next Pro competition. And so, Luke Brennan, if he has the chance to work on the right-hand side, we'll see that. Nicholas Firmino, who has done tremendously well, got off to the hot start for Atlanta United too. Then Kareem Tamimi took over the goal-scoring duties for a while as everybody tried to key on Firmino. And now Nicholas Firmino has been getting back into the goal swing of things. Made sense that Nicholas Firmino would be part of any kind of a call-up and work out with first team if things came like that. No, we have not, Nix. We do need to talk about that, and Ricky, that as well. Once again, this is what happens when you don't have a morning show. I mean, when you don't have an afternoon drive show. But, like I said, this is a chance for the younger players to step up for Atlanta United. We've seen them with the twos. And so now it's a chance for them in these international windows for them to step up. Now that you mentioned it, Nick, Diego Coca. We'll talk about it now. The guy got a thank you graphic for 7 games. I know that it's the right thing to do. 7 games. And to be perfectly honest, right now, with El Tree being what it is, why do you take that gig? Why? I know it's Mexico. It's El Tree. We can restore the roar. Whatever, college football rebuilding cliche you want to put in there. Why? Because of the cauldron that it is. Legitimately, you get 7 games. Mexico has not beaten the U.S. in their last 4. Clearly, and we went over it yesterday, it is an older roster. And if the next individual that goes into that room that isn't named El Piojo, I mean, if I go in that room and I'm being interviewed, what is the harm in saying I'm playing the kids? I want to integrate the kids into this because we're right now with a lot of older players that aren't getting any younger, and we've got to think about the future. Would you rather not lose with the kids that are trying, or would you rather to continue to be frustrated with the veteran players that are there that aren't doing you any good. And I mean, yesterday, it was, I want to get the phrasing right from John Arnold. I mean, because John has been on top of this. And yesterday, the comments from Juan Carlos Rodriguez, the letter of the Federation, he wants true change and public service. If you have not subscribed to John Arnold's Get CONCACAF, I would recommend it. Absolutely recommend it. But with with what went down yesterday, with John and getting into Diego Coca, fired well before trying to qualify for the Copa America. Juan Carlos Rodriguez, and this is from John. Juan Carlos Rodriguez, La Bomba, was expected to remove Coca to make his own hire in the most fan-facing role in Mexico's soccer, that of Mexico's men's national team manager. But even with that expectation, just how emphatically Rodriguez came out and expressed his decision. The new commissioner put his stamp on the program, and more with Monday's announcement. Rodriguez appeared in a video uploaded to the FMF social media channel saying he wanted to speak to the fans. He did so for 5 minutes, issuing scathing criticisms of Diego Coca. 1, the way in which Mexico lost to the U.S. is unacceptable. 2, he said he was ending Coca's contract. 3, Jaime Lozano taking over as interim manager for the Gold Cup. 4, soccer is heritage that belongs to the fans. Rodriguez said, quote, the team gave up on winning from the first minute with logistical decisions that caused friction in the group. It wasn't just the game that was lost ultimately, Rodriguez said. The ability to react and leadership on and off the field also were lost. Emotional control and the sense of wearing with professionalism, a shirt that at least this time no one felt represented by. So, I mean, he is letting them have it. Rodriguez is letting them have it with anything that he can throw at the TV screen. Rodriguez referenced media reports players pondered returning to their clubs instead of competing in the Gold Cup. Quote, I can't imagine that in the national team there are elements who have forgotten what's behind them. People who sold their car or took out a mortgage on their house to be with us in Qatar, or people who drive hundreds of kilometers to get to any game, happy to see us no matter what match it is. Rodriguez also criticized those who had gone before him. Soccer is more than a business. It's heritage that belongs to the fans, and we've all failed them. Not just now, but for a long time now. We need a new way to form relationships to all look forward. Today, we are all responsible. Owners, executives, coaches, players. We failed the fans. What I want to tell them is that we'll again represent them as they deserve. But John Arnold makes the point that only until there are results, fans aren't going to listen. Arnold maintains Coca wasn't the reason Mexico lost to the U.S. And much like a lot of us, you bring in Lozano, that's not going to change any. That's not going to change much, if anything. Rodrigo Aristiparga, the director of national teams, is also out after 4 months. Arnold maintains the grassroots structure isn't working. Players aren't being sold at the right time for them or the national team. Clubs have too much say. Next, to your point, even the players who are making it to Europe from Liga MX are floundering and coming back. Lainez, Pizzuto. Or on Thursday, you had guys like Montes who lost the plot, and Edson Alvarez. And so now, Ricky, to your point, Reports in Brazil from Globo say that Carlo Ancelotti is going to take over in 2024. But now, Juan Carlos Rodriguez now has the task in front of him of fixing something that is a long-term fix. It is not something where you can sit there and snap your fingers and go, yeah, you know what? We're done. We're good. Different. It is different. Different now. And to John's point, doesn't matter right now who you get. Does not matter. Does not matter who you get right now to be in charge of El Tree. It ain't going to fix it with a snap of the fingers. This isn't Thanos who can sit there and change things and go, boom, we're done. And everything's cool. It's not. This is something that's going to take a lot of steps that I can guarantee you fans won't like. Fans of El Tree want immediate results every single time. Every single time they want results. Every tournament they anticipate the win. Even as dysfunctional as the rosters are and as uninspired as the play can be sometimes, to where Mexico gets to a point where they're in a match, they are outclassed. So what do? They drag you down into the mud with them. Referencing, obviously, what happened against the United States. Where you want to do just cheap fouls. You want to drag players into piles. You want to push and shove and intimidate and try to goad them into cards to equal up situations. The Mexican national team is in a world of hurt, and it does not look like it's going to get better anytime soon. I don't care who you name as coach. Could be Coca, could be Lozano, could be Pep, could be Sir Alex Ferguson in his prime. You go into the time machine. Arsene Wenger in his prime, go into the time machine. You bring in the Invincibles. That coach. Doesn't matter who you could bring in the time machine or anybody in the present day. They ain't fixing something just like that. This is a fix that is a systemic fix, and systemic fixes take time. But the fans of El Tree do not have that kind of traditional patience. And, I mean, think about the end of the match. Think about the end of the match against the United States. What did the fans of El Tree do at Allegiant Stadium? They continued. They started in the 13th minute with that chant, capital T, capital C. They started with that chant. They kept going. Had 5 warnings for 3 situations, for 3 stoppages. They kept getting louder and louder and louder and louder with that chant, capital T, capital C. Why you had 10 minutes of stoppage, I have no idea. And the center ref, who continued to hear that chant, capital T, capital C, called it after 7. Should have just put 2 minutes on the board to get out of town because of what the situation had degraded into. A 1v7 where Weston McKennie had to push his way out of a battle royale or a battle royal. And you had the iconic photo and the iconic piece of video of the jersey torn down or off his shoulder, kissing the crest. And then you had Sergiño Dest, who basically got shoved in the face, hands around the neck. You're getting folks pushing and shoving for Mexico. Dest got a red card. The McKinney one, I don't understand. The Dest one, I get. You were without both of those players in the Nations League final. You still handled Canada pretty simply. Eltree needs an overhaul. It needs to go to the body shop, and you've got to work on the transmission. You've got to come up with a new paint job. You've got to fix the radio. This is a car that is going to be in the shop for a long time, and not a lot of folks that love that team and love that program understand this. They just get angrier and angrier and angrier, and they end up being the ones, the fans, end up being the ones in control of situations that have gotten out of hand on the pitch by continuing to use capital T, capital C, that chant. I mean, who is more in control in that situation? Think about it. Your team is trailing, you're mad. If you keep doing that chant, capital T, capital C, the ref stops the match sooner because of what your fans are doing, not because of anything that you're doing on the field. Angry Eltree fans are more in control of the situation in any tournament right now if things go sideways as their team is performing on the field. And we've had refs not take, obviously they want to administer the rules of the game, but it's a pretty sad state of affairs right now. And when you have the head of the federation, yes, it's run by Liga MX, and that's part of the problem, where all of that dictates who gets what, where, and when, who plays, who's on the roster. When your internal league has more say about your national team. All of that stuff is wrong right now, is what is wrong. It's going to take a lot to fix it. Is Liga MX and the FMF, are they up to this challenge and understanding that it is not going to be something that is going to be overturned in a day? Where is the next wave of players? Because of those players that are of a certain age. Players of a certain age. 24-person squad with a value of 158 million euro. Memo Ochoa is 37. Xolos' Antonio Rodriguez is 30. Henry Martin is 30. Jesus Gallardo and Luis Romo, both 28. Luis Chavez, 27. Pineda, 27. Acevedo, 27. Carlos Rodriguez, 26. Montes, 26. Malagon, 26. Cordova, 26. Antuna, Alvarez, Vega, Sanchez, 25. Arteaga, 24. Johan Vasquez, 24. Sanchez, 23. Reyes, 23. Santi Jimenez is 22. Osiel Herrera is 22. Julian Araujo, 21. Victor Guzman, 21. Under the age of 25. Under the age of 25. You have 2, 4, 6, 8. 8 players of your roster under the age of 25. No 18, 19, 20-year-olds like you see with the States. None of that exists right now with Eltree. And it's going to be a rough slog. How serious is the FMF? We'll find out. Yeah, with Ancelotti leaving Real Madrid and going to Brazil. And frankly, Ricky, with everything that he has had to face in that country involving racism and having to stand up to La Liga as much as he has and as he does for his players, you know that wherever Carlo Ancelotti goes, he will have his players' backs. He absolutely will have their backs. Goes to Brazil, he will have rosters of folks that will want to play for him. And I could definitely understand that if you are Carlo Ancelotti, that you're over it, man. You're done. You're tired of dealing with all that crap. When you have a player who is as talented as Vinicius continually putting up with all of the nonsense. All of the nonsense. I don't blame Ancelotti one bit for wanting to jet. And that might be the play, Ricky, bringing back Zidane until the French job opens up. That might be the play. Would Zidane want the daily headache of league play, or does he just want to wait? But I don't blame Carlo Ancelotti a bit if this goes down. Do not blame him one bit. You only can put up with crap for so long before it does stuff to you mentally, it does stuff to you physically, it does stuff to you emotionally, and how the players of today handle it. They have stronger constitutions than a lot of us, if not most of us. But for Ancelotti to jet from Real Madrid to go and be at Brazil, the end of his contract, not a surprise. If that happens, not a surprise one bit. World Cup cycle 26 rides off into the sunset. I could completely and totally see that. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo, things left unsaid, all the rumor mill. We've got a lot of that to get into today. And let's see, who's got the best rundown of it all? I know that Declan Rice looks like West Ham has turned down the second offer of 75 plus 15. 75 and 15 million in add-ons. That was the second offer. Arsenal's also interested in Romeo Lavia to strengthen the midfield. Mo Simakan is another on Arsenal's list for that particular squad. So let's go to our friends. Go to our friends at the BBC and go through all of the gossip, transfer, gossip, rumor, innuendo, things left unsaid. Okay, here we go. There, I'm Fabrizio Romano all of a sudden. PSG have made Harry Kane their top priority in the summer. It's from our friends at La Parisienne. Kyle Walker is in talks over a contract extension at Manchester City, despite interest from Bayern Munich. That's from the four-letter paper. Take the information at your own peril. Bernardo Silva has received an offer to join the Saudi Pro League. That's from our buddy David Ornstein. Al Ittihad are preparing a £51 million offer for Heung-min Son. That's from our friends at the four-letter. Spurs do not want to sell. Next year might be a little easier for them to do so. Four-letter paper reports that Declan Rice is ready to agree to personal terms, but the 75 plus 15 is unacceptable for West Ham right now. Spurs are favorites to sign James Maddison, who prefers a move to London over Newcastle. Marcus Rashford is on the verge of signing a new deal at Manchester United. That's also from the four-letter paper. Kai Havertz has no intention of signing a new deal at Chelsea as a target for Arsenal. Speaking of Arsenal, they've given Thomas Partey permission to explore a transfer to the Saudi Pro League. Jordan Pickford, happy at Everton, has not been approached by Manchester United. Four-letter paper. Napoli hope to agree to a contract extension with Victor Osimhen, but would consider selling him this summer. Liverpool want to sign midfielder Ryan Gravenberch from Bayern Munich. Manchester City says Ilkay Gundogan says he's been approached by Dortmund but does not want to return to the Bundesliga. Chelsea considering whether to trigger the €35 million release clause in Villarreal forward Nicholas Jackson. Bristol City will not be rushed into selling 19-year-old midfielder Alex Scott, who is a £25 million target for both Spurs and Wolves. Looks like Wolves will have the money to spend after sending Ruben Neves to the Saudi Pro League. Matt Doherty, who's a free agent after being released by Atletico Madrid, has been linked with a move to the Saudi Pro League. 3-letter paper. Take the information at your own peril. Brighton considering a move for Chelsea's Conor Gallagher. I would say if Crystal Palace were smart, they would do the same thing, considering the level of success he had when he was there. West Ham looks like they're going to miss out on Ajax's midfielder Edson Alvarez, but will move ahead and try to grab Palhinha from Fulham. Galatasaray want to sign Wolves striker Fabio Silva, who spent last year on loan at Anderlecht and Eindhoven. Brentford are in talks to sign 18-year-old Dutch defender Rav Vandenberg from PEC Zwolle. That's from the 4-letter paper. So once again, take the information at your own peril. Going through the papers, Chelsea have confirmed the £52 million Christopher Nkunku sighting from RB Leipzig. So keep an eye on that. We talked yesterday. So Arsenal has made a fresh £60 million offer for Kai Havertz. That's also the 4-letter paper. $55 million up front, $5 million in add-ons. Chelsea signed Havertz with 2 years left on. He's got 2 years left on his deal from Bayer Leverkusen and a deal in 2020 worth £75 million. And once again, remember, Chelsea's got to recoup funds after spending close to £600 million on players this past summer. Lower division stuff, Derby County. Goalkeeper Josh Vickers following Joe Ward through the door. Dan Crowley signed a 2-year deal at Notts County, a 25-year-old. Spanish international Gavi has ended speculation over his Barcelona future, putting pen to paper on a new 3-year deal, according to Fabrizio Romano. New deal is until June of 2026. That includes a €1 billion release clause. Sure. Roma are in talks with Leeds over the permanent signing of Diego Llorente. Spent the second half of the season on loan with Roma. Patrick Vieira is in the discussion for the Leeds managerial opening. So we'll keep an eye on that. Son has ruled out a move to Saudi Arabia, speaking to reporters in South Korea. Many things to do in the Premier League. Money doesn't matter to me now, and the pride of playing football to play in my favorite league is important. I'll prepare well. When I'm back to Spurs, I want to play more for Tottenham in the Premier League. Ipswich want to sign Everton striker Ellis Sims, according to The Athletic. Watford have activated the £50,000 release clause in Tom Ince's contract at Reading. Manchester City have submitted a written bid of £25 million to Chelsea for Mateo Kovacic. Blues had granted City permission last month to speak to him ahead of a potential move. The £90 million bid for Declan Rice is still hanging in there. Newcastle reportedly considering alternatives to Inter Milan midfielder Nicolo Barella. According to The Independent, there's a £30 million gap in valuation. Newcastle willing to pay $50 million. Inter want $80. Sandro Tonali is another name on Newcastle's list, according to the report. The spending charts came out from our friends at Sky. Chelsea with 20 signings. Since the Chelsea takeover, obviously Chelsea has the highest amount spent in that time frame. 20 signings, £654 million. Manchester United signed 9 for about a third of that. West Ham third, 11 for 194. Liverpool 6 for 191.5. Arsenal 8 for 180.5. Shocking no one. So you have all of that to look at as well. On the board, viewing habits today. Plenty to keep an eye out for. FS2 at 2:45, a friendly between Germany and Colombia. Gold Cup preliminaries continue. On FS2, 4:30, Guadeloupe, Guyana, Martinique, and Puerto Rico at 7. St. Kitts, Nevis, French Guiana, 9:20. Uruguay and Cuba on Fox Deportes at 7:30. On Season Pass, going on right now at 11:30, and at 1:30, you have U16s and U15s on the MLS Next Cup in the quarters. Fox Soccer Plus, Estonia and Belgium from Euro Championship qualifying. Estonia and Belgium, 2:45. Canadian Premier League, Vancouver and Forge at 10. Yes, big game tonight. Ricky, Puerto Rico, Martinique. If Puerto Rico win, they'll make the Gold Cup for the first time ever. Fubo has all of your European Championship qualifying. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 matches at 2:30, plus the Montenegrin Czechia friendly at 2:30. Paramount Plus, Argentine Primera at 3:30. Godoy Cruz, Defensa y Justicia. The Brasileiro at 7. Sao Paulo and Palmeiras. Pay-per-view, Ecuador, Costa Rica at 8. VIX has your men's friendlies, your Euro 2024 qualifying, and your Gold Cup preliminaries. That is your Tuesday viewing habits. Rest of the week, just to give you the traffic once again. Tomorrow, since we are in the midweek whip around, and hoping to have Dylan Butler on at 10. We'll see if Bart Keeler has anything to discuss at 10:30, or if he's awake, or if the real world has gotten in the way. Remember, tomorrow, also 7:39, Atlanta United hosting NYCFC down at Mercedes-Benz. Hope to see all of you there. Pre-game show starts at 92.9 at 7 o'clock, and they'll have a full episode of the Full-Time Report after that. Yes, Nick's is working on his home-built submarine. Wednesday is normal. Thursday, hard out at 11 o'clock or 11:05. So a 2-hour show on Thursday, and then Friday's show will be a weekend whip around from New Jersey to get you ready for Atlanta United and Red Bulls. Joe Fryhofer, Jason Longshore, and I will be up there for the Unified game. You can catch that on the web. And also it'll be Jason and Mike for Red Bulls and Atlanta United at 7:30 on Saturday night. No, there is no such thing as a normal show. Absolutely true, Forecard. You are absolutely correct. Programming later on in the day, our USL programming will be up on the network. And also we will have our NPSL programming coming up on Friday. So Tata still, Michael, right there. I mean, the Pixies are in town. Cool. Tata right now is being said that the terms have been agreed. Nothing's officially official, but so right there, number one on the board, according to Jorge Mas. Mas did say in that interview with the Miami Herald, he's number 1 of 3. Mas did not name the other 2, which to me means it's Tata and 2 other folks. So Forecard Mocha Plata played safe, everybody. We'll be back at it again tomorrow for another 2 hours of Soccer's Morning Show. Thanks for being a part of it, as you always are. Since it is the end of the show, it means I get to do this. We'll be back at it again in 22 hours or so. Be good. We'll see you tomorrow.